Now, 15 seconds. Please wait for my signal. It's going to be a second. Here we go. And
hello and welcome to eXp Commercial Explained. My name is James Wong, eXp Commercial President. I am here with Stephanie Gillison, our Director of Operation. And boy, what a month this has been for us at eXp Con with the greatest and biggest amount of commercial agents, realty agents, and leadership, and just thought leaders all around the country and world that came to our convention. And then Stephanie and I went to NAR's retreat, and we basically saw a lot of our friends at the convention and met with so many different groups. But this time we're going to do something a little different. With all the traveling Stephanie and I have gone on, we got to meet someone, I always call him the most interesting man in the world. We're going to be really discussing and talking about eXp, the future, and everything that he has in his knowledge. He's a guru. And Stephanie, with Randall Miles as our guest today, you know, he is just so interesting. And then you were telling me, how many titles does he have?
Well, I thought it was 843 titles, but he's corrected me this morning and told me it's 844 titles. You know, for anyone that doesn't understand, you know, eXp, whether it's Realty, whether it's eXp Commercial, you know, we are owned by eXp World Holdings, and Randall Miles holds the vice chairman's seat on the board of eXp World Holdings. And like so many of us, in order for us to be great leaders and to really be able to push this company forward, we need people like Randall Miles that has done so much in his 30 plus years sitting and running and doing and innovating so many companies, whether they've been startups in technology, whether they've been banks, capital, private investment banking, you name it. I'm not sure, you know, he's even got actor on his title because he is a star on Billions. But Randall Miles, please welcome to eXp Commercial. We do eXp Commercial Explained every week for everyone. We have over 54 episodes streaming on our eXp Commercial YouTube channel. But today we want to pivot and we want to give this opportunity for everyone to learn and to get to know Randall Miles the way Jim and I have, and so many of the great leaders here at eXp World Holdings. Randall, welcome today. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Well, thank you, guys. It really is a pleasure to be here. eXp Commercial is such a vital part of where we're heading inside of eXp World Holdings. A vital part that pairs well with our eXp Realty group, pairs very well with some of the other things that we do. And, you know, from the outset, what we wanted to do was to create a diversity of product offerings that allow us to participate in every part of real estate, however one might define that, in every part of the world, and create a collaborative process across borders that give agents of every description the best possible opportunity to build the practices that will make them successful.
Absolutely. And I love that. And when we had a few moments to speak in New York City, I think at the end of September, I loved how you shared the story about Glenn Sanford approaching you about holding this position. And your first instinct was?
Well, it actually goes further back than that. When I first met Glenn, maybe 12 years ago now, when someone that was working for me bought a home using an agent that was part of Glenn's team, might have been 10 people at the time. And it predates eXp. And the guy that worked for me had said, look, this guy has an interesting idea in terms of what he wants to build in the future. You know, maybe it's worth a conversation. So we sat down for, you know, at least 2 hours or so. And I probably spent most of it trying to convince him that he was nuts. And there were just so many challenges with respect to what he had envisioned. And we kept in touch over the intervening years. He would call with a question or two every now and then, or we would spitball a few things. And then I want to say 5.5 years ago-ish, I became a member of eXp's board of directors, became vice chairman and chairman of the audit committee. And it really is a testament to Glenn. I mean, the vision in and of itself is extraordinary. But as you might imagine, the number of naysayers along the way, the number of guys like me who thought the challenges were so great, why do you want to spend a decade of your life trying to build something that may not work? Diligence, perseverance, work through all of the obstacles, was a believer, and along the way convinced others to believe. And frankly, it wasn't that long ago. If you go back 4 years ago, as an example, our competitors, the Keller Williams of the world and others, and I'm not singling anybody out in particular, it was kind of universal, were panning eXp and whether or not we'd ever make it. Their view of the world is that, we're this upstart, it's this new business model, so unlike anything that had ever been done before. There was no chance of it being successful, that we were losing money hand over fist, which, by the way, was not true. They took license with respect to our reported public documents without either taking the time or wanting to talk about the way accounting works and some non-cash losses. And, look at where we are today. We will, by the end of this year, if you extrapolate Q3, we'll be somewhere between $3.5 and $4 billion in revenue in 2021. We're a market cap that's hovering around $7 billion today. And we are growing like crazy. We are approximately, I'll round up a little bit, 70,000 agents globally. And continue to grow by leaps and bounds on a monthly basis. And we don't see that growth abating anytime soon. Our business model is so unique. We've got such great people that we've been able to attract to the platform that serve as our referral base, our marketing base, our attraction base to bring in new folks. And given the opportunity to see how it works on the inside, it's a very, very sticky platform.
And Randy, since you've been around seeing consulting, investing, right, for a very long period of time, and having you, with us, watching us at our growth with eXp Commercial, really, we just had, I would say, our year anniversary at November 1st of last year. What do you see the future with eXp Commercial and others and the opportunities for what we're building here now?
I think that's a great question. It's kind of the foundation of why we even elected to pursue it. And you're right. It is the first year anniversary. And as I mentioned early on, we believe eXp Commercial will be a vital part of how we continue to grow as an organization. And much like in the realty market, residential realty market, eXp was an innovator and bringing something the industry had never seen to residential real estate, and see how well that's done. We believe that what we are offering in the commercial world is every bit as revolutionary. Commercial, for all of those of you who have been practitioners for a long time, probably haven't done things very differently throughout your tenure in commercial real estate. It's a pretty conservative universe, has taken on relatively little innovation over the years. And so part of what I believe eXp is bringing to commercial is much like what it brought to residential, a new opportunity to do business differently, to create new opportunities, to create income for agents and brokers that they hadn't been exposed to before. So, and look, if you compare the growth curve in terms of, say, agent count of commercial with realty for the same period of existence, our growth rate in commercial is much greater than realty was in its early days. Now, there is something to piggyback on because of the success we have, to be sure. But I think we're just at the very, very nascent stages. We've had extraordinary success in the last year, led by you, Jim, and Stephanie's efforts. And I think 2022 in particular will be a rocket ship ride. We're on the platform. The rocket ship is fueled. We've had great traction thus far, traction and momentum that continues to build. And we really have high expectations for 2022.
Absolutely. And you're right. Yesterday I had two conversations with commercial practitioners that those conversations were started January of 2021 in our infancy. We weren't even open just yet in those states that those two are coming from. But here we are, 8-9 months later, and they are ready to make that switch because they wanted to watch. They wanted to see, okay, is this going to work? Is this going to really transpire into what they're saying it's going to be? And both of them took two separate states. They don't know one another, but they both complemented the fact that you all pulled off everything that you promised back in January, and you really weren't sure it was going to go in that path. And I always say, no, I was always 100% certain, because the way Jim and I operate is that we don't say it unless we know it's going to happen, number one. But two, what we work on is like 6 months in the future. So by the time that it rolls out, it's old news to us, right, Jim? I mean, it's, that's the way we are strategic in planning this. And some of these conversations, especially in the commercial realm, they always want to get into the conversation of explain your stock. How are you giving this much stock and awarding this stock? And I loved how you so eloquently explain it, because this is your wheelhouse, Randall, in how we share those conversations and how we do explain that. But if you would, the conversation we had in New York, where it just really even opened my mind up to that better explanation of how we can scale and how we can continue the gift of stock.
Stephanie, if you were to ask me what I said 5 minutes ago, it would be a challenge for me to respond. Now you're asking me to go back to our conversation in New York. Look, I think it's very simple, and the point I will correct you on, because we don't give anybody anything, right? And this, I think, was the basis of the conversation that we had in New York. We create an opportunity for people to earn,
yes,
and participate. Whether that's earning a commission, whether it's participating in rev share, whether it's creating an opportunity to earn stock awards. So real estate agents, real estate brokers, whether residential or commercial, are an entrepreneurial group of people that work really hard, that people that have to develop a set of skills over time that's going to make them successful. Part of what we've tried to do at eXp is create a platform through which we can attract very productive people. We can attract new agents as well, because we've got the mentoring and training and everything like that, and create an incentive mechanism that allows them to succeed in both the short term and in the long term. And what's so unique about the eXp model is that long-term piece of it, right? In most cases, a transaction, whether it's commercial or real estate, or pick something, right? I mean, it's great. You close today and you've got to reinvent yourself tomorrow, apart from what you're trying to build in terms of a referral base, right? And what eXp does is through both, we've got kind of this three-legged stool that gives you an opportunity to earn commissions in the conventional sense, an opportunity to earn rev share by building teams, successful teams, and an opportunity to earn stock awards, either by meeting certain performance levels, achieving certain status, or an opportunity to trade a percentage of your commissions for stock at a market discount. And in so doing, both with respect to rev share and in the stock piece, it creates a long-term wealth creation opportunity that doesn't exist in other models. So, most commercial real estate firms don't have retirement programs. We don't have a retirement program, but we give you the vehicle through which to create your own by creating long-term wealth through these other ancillary ways of earning income.
Randy, that's one thing I love about this company, the word agent-centric, right? Before, it was never agent-centric. It was company-centric. What could you do for the company? And being stewards, because we've always heard we're the Amazon of real estate, but, and talking to you, it seems like we're going beyond, more strategic than just being in real estate. Can you kind of maybe even share and talk about your vision and maybe the board, or what our idea of our company, since we're eXp World Holdings, but we are doing so many things, as we've seen with Success Magazine, with certain technology, innovation, giving back, and deployment, right? So it's a lot bigger strategy with all these pieces in real estate. Can you kind of go on what you see and what you think of our company, kind of being stewards of our shareholders, which is all of us agents.
Right. Look, I think you said it in the context of we are an agent-centric organization. Agents are our customers, and if we're to be successful, we have to serve those customers. We have to have the right employees. We have to have the right strategic underpinnings. We have to have, attract and retain the right brokers. But the bigger picture then is we are eXp World Holdings, right? We're not just eXp Realty. We're not just eXp Commercial. We're not just eXp, any one of a number of other things, right? So what 2019 in particular did for us, having spent many years trying to build infrastructure that was very forward-looking so that we could continue the rate of growth we were experiencing, allowed us achieving scale to start to look elsewhere for some of the other things to supplement our business model. And when I say achieving scale, some of it is as simple as key expense categories that might be increasing in absolute terms, but decreasing as a percentage of revenue, for example. So it was clear that we were reaching a point from a scaling point of view that we could then pursue some of the other things that we had at the back of our mind. We could afford the intellectual distraction to do it, and we could afford the financial investment to do it. Those have included expansion internationally. And I want to say, pardon me, that we are now in, what is it? Something
18.
Close to 18 countries. I always get the number wrong, and Michael Velez has to correct me. 18 countries in frankly record time. We have a year ago expanded into commercial real estate. We have begun to monetize our technology platform by making it available to people outside of eXp who want to operate or hold events or whatever the case on a virtual basis. We're pursuing any one of a number of what we've banded together as affiliated services. We acquired Success Magazine, which is a cornerstone of our ability to then offer coaching and a variety of other things to our agents. We have launched a mortgage operation through a partnership. We're looking at things like title, homeowners insurance. I mean, pick anything and almost everything that revolves around the transactional event that is the purchase or sale of real estate, whether small, large, commercial, or residential. So to the extent then that we can create what I liken to a something of a tollway, a mortgage or a transactional tollway that gives us an opportunity to generate revenue, not just once, but multiple times, potentially, during the lifelong relationship you might have with that customer and their other needs that spring from this initial transactional event. So that's part of what we're trying to achieve. The effect of that then is not only does it allow us to get bigger in terms of top-line revenue, it gives us revenue diversity, which is something of a hedge against future downturns in the market. It gives us margin diversity in the context of creating higher margin opportunities than, for example, conventional residential real estate might entail, and makes us stronger for it along the way. Now, some of these things are relatively new. Commercial is new, but the early signs of commercial have been, spectacular. We're really pleased with the direction and the momentum. We grew international very quickly during COVID. It was a great opportunity to do that, and we're able to do that because of our virtual platform. For those who don't know it, I mean, we've got almost 70,000 agents globally. We've got about 2,000 employees, including a small portion of contractors. Nobody in this company has a physical office, or at least that's maintained by the company. So we're able to collaborate across borders, whether it's domestic borders or international borders. We're able to move into other countries without having to send swarms of people over there to do it. So we advanced the ball very quickly during COVID. What you'll see us do this year is probably not move as quickly in terms of expanding that international footprint and focus more on traction in those markets. Now that I'm in a place like India, for example, which is growing very, very quickly. During COVID, there wasn't a whole lot of real estate getting transacted. So we got there, we put the infrastructure in place, we got all the legal stuff and licensing in place. We did a lot of recruiting. And those agents in India, as an example, are now beginning to sell. So we're going to focus on giving them every opportunity to build their practices and to get transactions done. So you'll see that as kind of a focus for us in 2022.
It absolutely is. And, every single day we get into parts of conversations. This morning, Israel, yesterday, India, Mexico, you name it, where we have brokers and agents reaching out. I want to collaborate with the U.S. commercial brokers and agents. Please facilitate. We have this many buyers ready to spend this many millions of dollars. And it is amazing because our footprint allows for that so much easier. And Randall, you've worked globally with many of companies. It's different. Every country is a little bit different. Things operate differently. But prior to eXp and prior to us going global, I would state to people, it was so hard for commercial brokers or residential to transact across border lines because you couldn't guarantee collection of payment. You couldn't guarantee, there were things, but because we are this one global company in our eyes, we have one back office operating this entire empire that we're building. And so we can have these deals happen, which is tremendous to be able to put together in such a short time. And like you said, we didn't send swarms of people there to do it. We did it in this virtual platform, and Michael did it from New York City, and I don't think ever boarded a plane to do so, right?
Not until relatively recently. That's right. And part of what allows us to do that, right? I mean, we talk about, a borderless brokerage and those sorts of things, but there's a psychology underlying that beyond just the physical, right? Where in most organizations, real estate is kind of local, right? You have your local brokerage, you might be in a state or two or whatever the case. It's a highly competitive industry. And our single brokerage and our borderless approach allows someone in Austin, Texas to collaborate with someone in San Diego or someone in the UK or Australia. So you're not competing locally with those people.
Right.
And the greatest challenge of every CEO, of every senior manager, of whatever the size of the organization might be, right, is to motivate your people to act like owners, right? Because the decision-making process is differently. People take ownership, they look at the world differently. And in our case, because we provide the vehicle through which people can actually become real owners in terms of their stock holdings, it's further incentive then for people to take on a mindset that if I help you, that's actually good for me. There's an opportunity maybe for fee share and that sort of thing. But to the extent that we do that and to the extent that we get those transactions done, we drive more revenue, we drive more margin. That helps, the stock price and those sorts of things. So philosophically, culturally, the underpinnings of what we do all help drive that.
Right, we're always talking about our platform, right? The Virbela platform, our world, and now that with Facebook, the metaverse, right? And we were in the metaverse, living the metaverse before, with the culture. So, what do you see in the evolution with our world? How we are expanding, how we're making the world smaller, and really, as you brought up, a lot of ways of interaction. Right now that we're in a different world because of COVID. And how, the work model of being shoved into a large office is not, as we're seeing it play out and people are trying to find their footing. What do you see with our world and how our world's going to impact and the improvement of what we're building on with the Virbela platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. One, meta is a new trendy term, right? But it really embodies how we've been living, how we've been working since the beginning. eXp has been doing this for a long time. As we mentioned, we have a virtual platform. We work in the cloud. We collaborate in the cloud. We have a campus in the cloud where your office resides. We pair that with other communication and data tools and the like. So none of this is new for us. It's a validation, frankly, of how we've been living our working lives for some number of years. And it gives us an opportunity to transform, to create transformational opportunities in other ways. I would tell you that, part of eXp's success lies in the fact that we have transformed the way residential real estate gets done. And by extension now, we've now moved into commercial and are in the midst of helping transform the way commercial transactions get done in an increasingly virtual world with increasing incentives to drive collaboration. What the Virbela platform allows us to do, Jim, is transform the way not just real estate gets done, but the way business gets transacted in ways that transcends sectors or borders, right? As companies have shifted their focus in COVID and have reevaluated what their working model is. I mean, some will return to all day, every day kinds of physical environments because that's what their model calls for, shoulder to shoulder, eyeball to eyeball is how their business is going to get done. Others may go to 100% virtual. The vast majority will create flexibility in the business model, some combination of virtual and physical relationship. You go in the office 2 or 3 days a week, whatever else it might be. And in order to make that work, right, you've got to create a mechanism that facilitates it to coexist. And something like Virbela is the kind of platform that allows folks to do that. So we started marketing that during COVID. We've got some very big name clients like Big Four accounting firms. It's widely used in the academic sector for remote learning and the like. Largest automobile manufacturer is a user, and others, right? So it was widely used during COVID for virtual events where thousands of people would attend virtually. And we have found that as we continue to sell that as an enterprise model, we get more and more takers. So Meta for us, Jim, extends beyond just what we're doing and how we're transforming eXp in the way we work, but we're giving an opportunity for the rest of the world to experience the way we work in their own environment. And it's actually pretty exciting.
That is tremendous. So Randall, we just spent time at eXpCon and our big announcement was 5 years, 500,000 agents. Can you share with us the conversations behind the scenes before that was launched out at eXpCon?
I don't know that it's so much behind the scenes conversations as, look, we have experienced extraordinary growth over the course of the last couple of years. Since 2014, I think we have at least doubled minimally year over year in terms of our agent count. We think there's every opportunity to continue to do that. And if you think about our frontline marketing, our agents who are on the platform, who are attracting more agents to the platform, we see that continuing apace, supplemented by what we're doing from an international standpoint, augmented by what we're doing in eXp commercial. So it's not unrealistic to expect that we're going to hit a 500,000 number. It's not unrealistic to expect that we can exceed that from a timing standpoint. It's frankly not unrealistic to expect that on a global basis at some point in time, we may hit as many as 1 million agents or more. The model is such, there is no limit other than our own ambitions and the degree to which we invest in it as to how big an impact we can have.
So Randy, I just want to thank you for your time, but also now I want to talk about you because I know you have such a broad history from the Wall Street finance, capital markets to, I have to just say, when I met you, I was awestruck with billions. How did you get involved with that project? I know you have a lot of contacts, a lot of reach, a lot of relationship, but how did you get involved in billions?
It's actually quite accidentally. And kind of a funny story. 5 years ago or so, whatever it was, we were having a conversation around our dinner table at home. And one of the businesses I run is CM Capital Group, which is a global transaction and strategic advisory firm, of which I'm chairman and CEO for a long time. And, it was just, traveling constantly globally was frankly getting tiring. And I wanted to turn over day to day to a couple of guys and retain the chairmanship. And my wife said to me, "So what are you going to do with your spare time?" And everybody kind of laughed about it. I said, "Well, hey, maybe I'll be a politician or an actor." So uproarious laughter at the table. And my middle son said at the time, "Just act. Are you kidding me? I'll bet you $100 you can't act." So the truth of it is, I mean, if you think about what we all do day to day, right? We're selling customers, we're selling lenders, we are all actors to some degree, right? Formal training or not, and I've not had any formal training. So, my kid bet me $100. So I had to make a phone call to one of the network CEOs to say, "Hey, you gotta help me out here. I got to win $100 for my kids." So put me on a show with a small line, just so that I could collect $100 for my kid, which, by the way, I did, thinking I would never do it again. Hadn't had aspirations, hadn't been trained for it. And the phone rang a couple of times, and I did a modeling thing for a print job, which put me all over Europe on buses, subways, doctors' offices, and that sort of thing for this print thing, and did a couple of commercials. Then was offered a couple of spots in movies, like everything from like Father to By Any Means to other stuff you would have heard of, small parts. And along the way was introduced to the folks at Billions. I think after I had done the first season of The Sinner with Bill Pullman. And because of my background, it was intriguing in the context of having someone who could be a technical consultant to the show. So that was interesting for me as well, and provided opportunity to participate in the creative process in terms of script review and the like. So that was turned out to be great fun. But on the first day, I think it was the first day or second day of filming for season 3, I happened to have come from a meeting and was wearing a navy blazer and a pair of slacks and an open collared starched shirt. And the director, Colin Buxey, had approached me and said, "Hey, we've got this big scene coming up in a couple of weeks. Love your look. We've got Mark Lazary. We've got a couple of other, hedge fund guys who are going to play themselves. We'd love to have you at the table." I said, "Okay." I said, "By the way, I know those guys." "You do? Really?" So my job then in that particular scene was to get these guys comfortable with being on camera, talking about real stuff while we had this kind of unscripted ad hoc dialogue, most of which was kind of music over and that kind of stuff that nobody heard. And I think the last line of that episode was my line, "Who's this?" When Asia K. Dillon came walking in, and which was unscripted. And anyway, so that then led to this character, Martin Carlisle, that shows up from time to time.
I love it. So what does your kid say now that had to pay you the $100?
He doesn't say much about it.
Love it. I mean, you're just like, people who say, reach for it, and you just continue to deliver. It's just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Randall, we appreciate your support. We appreciate all the coaching and just being there for us, because, as we're on this rocket ship, and I know that by this time next year, when we're celebrating our 2-year, our goal is that we're in the top 7, maybe top 5 of commercial brokerages. And I believe that we're going to get there with your support and leadership as well. And Jim?
Yeah, and thank you, Randall. And, we always need mentors, right? That's what we always say. When we always are training new agents, you got to have a mentor. You are, Stephanie and Maya, the team's mentor and the guidance with your wisdom and advice, because you always need that kind of that check. So we are really proud that you are here, with us on our journey, stewarding over the big company too, but taking the time to watch and steward and manage and give us advice and mentor us. So we're excited. And just to let everyone know in the audience, like us on LinkedIn and Facebook, watch us on YouTube, because we do and will have eXp Explained coming up again, normal channel. But with, our special guest today, we wanted to give everyone a big picture of eXp, what everything's doing, where are we going, right? It's a big picture, and this is just a great honor. So also, when we're talking about our training, we will have our next training in our world on December 6th through the 10th. We've changed it up a little, and we're always advancing like what eXp does. We have always learned, we always grow, and we keep on evolving. So it is exciting. So make sure you go to www.eXp expcommercial.com to find our events. Follow us, like us, and just keep watching us. And if you're interested, whoever brought you to this video and this Thursday, please reach out to them to get more information and a pass to visit our virtual world. But for myself, James Wong, Stephanie Gillison, and our very, very special guest today, Randall Miles, we just want to thank everyone for taking this time, and keep watching, liking, and following us, because we are doing great things, and we will bring, let's say next year, Steph, this is our anniversary talk with Randy Miles. Every anniversary,
Yes.
This is what we do.
I'd be happy to do it.
Love it. Thanks again, Randall, and we'll see everyone at our commercial symposium. Next Thursday's Thanksgiving, so we'll take a break from eXp Commercial Explained, and then the following Thursday, we will be coming live from ICSC. So if you're going to be at ICSC, stop by our booth and say hi to us for sure.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
have a great